Okay. A very pleasant good afternoon to all of our viewers. We are delighted to have you with us this afternoon and welcome to Let's Talk. We are here this afternoon to continue our very interesting series on the whole matter of the Adventist health message. And as we promised you, we would have back with us Dr. Dos Santos. On May 8th, he was here with us and we had quite an inspirational session with him. And I had so many requests for him to come back, and he's here this afternoon. We're delighted to have him with us. Dr. Dos Santos, of course, is the director of the Doctor of Public Health in Preventive Care at Loma Linda University. And he is going to be guiding us this afternoon as we seek to get an answer, explanation, this time to some serious issues relating to the connection between our diet and cancer and other non-communicable diseases. Before we go any further, we want to have a word of prayer, shall we? Eternal Father and our God, we pray that you will be with us. We ask that you will guide in the discussion this afternoon, and Let's Talk, be with all of our viewers and the listeners. We pray for a wonderful session in your precious name. Amen. Well, Dr. Dos Santos, it's a pleasure to have you with us on Let's Talk. Good afternoon, and just a word of greeting.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here and to be in the mood of the Caribbean. I put this back place it gives me the inspiration.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, we are hoping that soon you can be here. We are hoping that soon we will get over this COVID pandemic and that life will return to normal, because it has been quite a disruption. Well, we're talking today about the relationship between diet and diseases such as cancer. I want to, I know you have done some work in the area of cancer, and especially as it relates to diet and that kind of thing. Last time we were here, we were looking at the benefits of a plant-based diet and why it's good for us. Does diet really have a relationship or some connection with non-communicable diseases such as cancer and diabetes and the like?
Oh, yes. One of the areas that I'm involved is to research on the effects of fiber from the diet. Not too much on the negative, but on the positive. So if you increase the amount of fiber, you have an advantage to control those diseases. And then if we talk specifically about cancer, and specifically about intestinal cancer or colon cancer, the fiber is one of the first elements for several reasons. One is that once you have a diet that is rich in fiber, you have a very fast functioning of the bowel, and then there is less time for all the toxins, all the cancer agents to stay close to the mucosa, and then being absorbed or being affecting the mucosa of the intestine. So then you have less chance of colon cancer in the first place.
That's very interesting. So next time I sit down to eat, I must be mindful of things like the fiber content of my food. You know, in some parts in the world today, our diet is heavily refined. We use a lot of sugars. I was watching a documentary the other day, and they were showing that sometimes when you look at the ingredient list, it may have sugar 3 times, but in different terms. I wasn't aware of that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, they are adding a lot of sugar to the diet. It's all related to appetite. It looks like if you put 3 elements, sugar, salt, and fat, this becomes almost an addictive drug when you mix off all of those three elements in the food. And these captivate people. It's all about business. So the companies know about that, and then they sell products with those kind of ingredients.
That's interesting. Let me ask you, Doc. If uh, uh, an individual goes to the doctor and he or she is told that, well, you have a tumor, there is cancer, is that necessarily a death sentence? When generally when a person hears that there is discovery of cancer, they immediately say, well, I have no hope. Is that so?
Well, I don't think so. I believe depends on the stage that this cancer is. The best treatment for cancer is called um, early prevention or early diagnosis. So if you have any suspicion of cancer, you should go as soon as possible to check, because if the cancer is in stage 1 or 2, so the chances are that you are going to do a treatment with surgery and with whatever radiation, and then you are going to get this cancer done. The problem is that stages 3 and 4 are more complicated. So when the cancer goes beyond the local, they call metastasis, when they grow a tumor and then they are advanced. So those are more complicated to deal with. So the idea is that if you have a family risk, so the first thing you have to do is check your family history for cancer. If you have a predisposing cancer in the family, so you should check for that cancer specifically. For instance, so if a woman has a breast cancer in her family, so they should check the breast more frequently, and maybe some markers that we call BRCA1 and BRCA2. So those are markers for breast cancer that run in families. So that's what I'm talking about. I mean, figure it out what is your predisposition and go early for an early diagnosis.
Now, so we are talking about cancer, but we're also looking at other non-communicable diseases. Um, if I eat well, let's say I am vegetarian or vegan, I exercise regularly, I try to get good rest, and I still develop cancer. Um, that's I'm assuming that's a possibility. So a person may say, well, I do all of these things and I still develop cancer. So what's the big fuss about paying attention to how I eat? How would you respond to someone like that?
Well, it's all depending, or it's all related to statistics. So if you develop a good lifestyle, you will have maybe 20 to 30% lower risk of cancer. Some of the cancers are even more. So a good lifestyle will decrease the risk of smoking, of lung cancer, much more than that, maybe in the area of almost 90%, because smoking is related directly to lung cancer. Breast cancer and colon cancer are not as much as related to lifestyle, but depends on the factor on the lifestyle. For instance, colon cancer, if you eat red meat, if you eat processed meats, and you eat low amount of fiber, so even a vegetarian person, if a person does not eat meat and um, uh, he does not eat any animal food, but her or his diet is lack on fiber, because sugar is vegetarian also. Um, Ice cream and all of these sweetens and candies and refined products are all vegetarian. So depends on the quality of the vegetarian diet. You might have a lower risk according to that, but it's not. People think that is a 100%, but what I'm saying is that is 30% less. So maybe a vegetarian person who is a healthy vegetarian has a risk of 70%, when a person is not vegetarian has a risk of 100% if we compare those two risks. So meaning that a 30% less risk is still a risk, because you will have a chance to fall on the 100 people that are vegetarian. Only 70 will have cancer. When you compare to 100 people that are not vegetarian, 100 will have. So, but we have the risk, and this is because we live in a place that is not. I mean, you guys might live in a better place there. I have tasted the fruits on the Caribbean. The weather in the Caribbean is much better, and so you have some privileges. And in some places the water is good, some places are not. But what I'm saying is that the planet is not healthy anymore. So our food sometimes is contaminated. Even vegetarian foods, our water, our air, and our soil. And then we have the chances of cancer coming all around us. So you have a lower risk, but it's not an absolute risk.
Okay, so that is putting things into perspective, and I'm happy that you were able to share that, because I have come across individuals who have argued that, well, it doesn't make any sense because they know individuals who are vegetarian and they still die from cancer. So my choice to eat healthy should not just be because I don't want to get cancer, because there are other benefits I want to
Well,
think.
before that, let me make one statement here. Many people, I have a friend that was vegan, and then because he thought he was vegan, he would not go for screenings. He never did a colonoscopy. He never did an AKG or a checkup because he was vegan. Sometimes we base on our lifestyle, and sometimes we base only on our diet and think that we are invincible, that nothing bad is going to happen to us, and that should not be the case. We should do all of the screenings that are necessary, because people die. Vegans die with even colon cancer. So we need to not forget to do the normal checkups and screenings.
It's
So
it's
now we
it,
go back to your question. Um, yes, it's not just a prevention of cancer. I still believe that the best diet for cancer is the vegan diet. Don't take me wrong, and I do that because um, I have several clinical cases that they improve with that, and one was my own mother. She got breast cancer when she was 85, and then she called me from Brazil, and I told her, okay, you do whatever treatment there, but the diet is my prescription. And then I put her in a total vegetarian diet: no meat, no chicken, no milk, no dairy, nothing, only vegetables. And then she ended up dying with 97 years old, and then never had a recurrence of the cancer. She operated the cancer, and that's it. She didn't do other treatments for that, and then she was doing very well. So I believe, well, when she died, but she died with 97 because of her age. So she was very old already. But what I'm saying is that it's not just one case. I'm saying that research has checked over and over that once you go to a total vegetarian diet, your cancer genes will change. The ones I mentioned this last time. The genes that protect cancer will be activated. The genes that produce cancer would be suppressed. Two things that are basic for that. But not only this, but the benefit for the chronic diseases that the main one is heart disease. And I believe diet and lifestyle are the main components to prevent those diseases.
But I want to go back to something you said earlier. There are a lot of questions that have come in since you just shared a couple of things there. But you made the point that there are individuals who must understand that because they're eating properly does not mean they must stop visiting their doctors, stop doing the checks, etc. Now we are living in the COVID era. Not that I want the discussion to be about COVID necessarily, but I've had a lot of individuals who have said, listen, if you build your immune system, you don't need to bother with any vaccination and that kind of stuff. Just eat right. Ellen White has given us enough in her counsels. So all we need to do is to build our immune system and not worry about things like vaccination and other medical things. Can I get your reaction to that?
Well, I am vaccinated, and there is one reason bigger than that to be vaccinated, because you can somehow not have the virus, but you can pass to others. So, or you can contaminate other people if you are if you have the disease. Anyways, I believe there is a balance in our lives. This COVID-19 disease has killed more than 3 million people in the world, and the main country that is affected was the United States, with more than 500,000, or almost five. Let's see, the last time was, it was more than 500,000. And then Brazil, my country, is the second one in terms of deaths, with more than 300,000 deaths. So that's something very complicated that we should do whatever we can to avoid that and to avoid the spread of that. So I believe vaccination is important for the prevention of COVID. Of course, we know that if you have a good lifestyle, your chances to survive the COVID-19 are higher. But nobody knows very well that. In fact, we don't have much research on that. We are now doing a research related to lifestyle and COVID-19. I have two projects that I'm doing here in Loma Linda. One is among Loma Linda employees, that we are checking their lifestyle and see the diagnosis of COVID, if the ones with a better lifestyle have less of complications. And then one that we are doing in the general population in the United States is a survey comparing their lifestyle also with the disease. But there is no much research on lifestyle and COVID. They are more into drugs, they are more into treatments for the disease because of the nature of the disease that is very acute, and everybody lifestyle will take a long time, or at least a period of time to have an effect. And then what I would say is that lifestyle is important for the disease, with vaccination and without vaccination, no doubts about that. But I believe vaccination is another point that we have to acknowledge, that is also beneficial for the prevention of the disease. And I believe for the sake of your family, for the sake of yourself, you should be vaccinated. I have two friends, vegetarian friends, that died because of COVID. Two medical doctors here in Los Angeles, good friends of mine, that were vegetarian, and I don't know the total lifestyle, but they just died probably because they were dealing with patients with COVID. When they died, there was no vaccines available. So they died before the pre-vaccine time. But if they were today, I would say they would be vaccinated.
That I am so grateful for your contribution there. It has become unfortunately, a very divisive issue, at least in our parts. And I wanted to get your perspective on that, because There are individuals who unfortunately make that much of an issue. So thank you so much. Now that leads me to the balance between how do I put it? Medicine, natural remedies, and medicine. There are individuals who believe in naturopathic. There are some individuals who say you should not take any drugs into your system. You should only go natural. We as Seventh Adventists believe in a healthy lifestyle. We believe in the New Start principle. Where is the balance? I believe in doing my annual checkups. I eat healthy. I'm vegan. I exercise regularly. I try to take care of my health, but I do believe that there should be a balance. So my question is, how do we balance between the natural remedies and medical science?
Well, I am very into this because I used to work in Brazil for about 14 years as a naturopathic doctor and medical doctor. So I used to be a director of a clinic that offered natural treatments. So I was all into herbal treatments and hydrotherapy and all of these things. So what I believe is that there is a need for a balance because if you break your leg, you will not take garlic pills for that. You have to go to the hospital and have an X-ray and then put the bones together and put a cast and maybe take some medicines, some antibiotics because this can get infected. So there is a need for a balance on these areas, and that's why in my clinic in Brazil I offer the natural treatments, but I have on the side I have all the medicines available if they are needed, and so the thing works like that. I believe we have to go back and put the 8 remedies there. If you have if you live according to the 8 remedies, your need for medication is very low. And mostly you can rely on natural remedies, on natural treatments, on herbals and hydrotherapy, because your lifestyle is good. So you might not need as much heavy drugs as other people. But if you are not living according to the 8 remedies, your immune system is going to be weak. Your the risks of infectious disease are going to be high. Your risks of non-communicable diseases like diabetes, cancer, heart disease are going to be high. So you might need more medicines, or your need for medicine is going to be higher. So that's where I found the balance. First, you go with your 8 remedies, I would say, with a health reform, good exercise and drinking water and living a life that is healthy. Then your need for medication is going to be low, and you are going to react more with the natural treatments, and that's the thing. But it does not exclude a medical treatment. Um, because sometimes what happened in the past, unless you are 50 years being vegan, I am 50 years being vegetarian, but not vegan all the time. So we have to balance things according to the needs, and we have to be. I remember one time that Ellen White mentioned a story of a missionary. He was in Africa, and his daughter got malaria, and then he opposed the treatment of malaria because they used to give quinine or hydroxyquinoline on that, and he thought that this was a drug, and he would refuse that, and his daughter died. And then he came back and he asked Ellen White, "Did I do wrong on not giving the pills to her there?" And then Ellen White said, "Yes, we should do whatever we can, whatever we know, and not skip treatments just because we are stubborn." And well, she didn't even answer like that, but she said that Our knowledge of treatment has to be based on what is the knowledge in the place. So if we need to take, if we are in between death and life situation, do whatever it is at your reach. And that's why I do that with cancer. Cancer is a complicated disease that we see people taking a lot of medications and they die. But we see people taking chemotherapy and other surgeries and they survive. And then if we don't have anything better, we do whatever it is at our hands. And that's my view.
Very, very wise counsel, very balanced perspective. I appreciate that. I want to just take a moment to ask a question that someone sent in here. And the question is, could regular enemas reduce the chances of colon cancer? This is from one of our listeners.
So can you repeat that?
Could regular enemas, I believe they're talking about flushing your colon.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not true because we know that a function of the bowel could improve, as I mentioned, if it's faster. But there is no proof that the enemas will decrease the risk of colon cancer. I better put my hopes in the type of diet that will clean the intestines than something to clean the intestine afterwards, because who knows what is that went there. And another point is that we live in a time that the intestines we call now microbiota or microbiome. There is a lot of bacteria that are good bacteria in our intestines that produce good substance that are affecting our immune system, affecting our heart, affecting our circulation, affecting even our brain. Those bacteria that are living good bacteria in our intestines. So if you do frequent enemas, you will clean up those bacteria and create a unbalancing of those. And this is not a good idea.
Interesting. Maybe I should have asked this question earlier, because I'm just looking at the questions that have been submitted. And this individual is asking if you can explain how cancer operates. They're asking a very simple question here. What is cancer and how does it operate?
Well, cancer is produced by two things. One is what they call a mutation. So it's a substance that goes inside of a cell and then affect the nucleus of a cell and the genes of that cell and making this cell to behave abnormally. So this is the first thing. So examples of that are radiation. Radiation will go there and affect the cells and will make these cells to grow of a different format. So that's one factor, the mutation. The second is the promotion, substance that help these cells to grow exponential. So most of the cancer agents, they have to have both of them. And this is the case of smoking. Smoking have mutation substance and have promotion substance. And then when you put those things together, you make a cell to behave abnormally and to grow exponentially. So that's the dangers. That's why smoke is one of the worst things. You have other substances like insulin, by instance, or hormones. Most of the hormones are promoters. So they will not start the cancer, but they will accelerate the cancer cells once they are developing. So that's why an excess of insulin will increase the risk of some cancers, even colon cancer and pancreas cancer, but they need to have a promoter, a mutating agent. So what are the substances that can mutate? And then this substance can be found in the meats, because meats, when you barbecue the meats, you produce benzopyrene. Benzopyrene is a mutating agent. This substance can find in alcohol. Alcohol can cause mutations in the cells. So you mix those two things, like alcohol and a diet that is rich in fats, and you have excess produce of hormones and mutagenics together, boom, and then the risk of cancer increases. This is also balanced by your immune system. So if you have a good immune system, the immune cells will fight these cells when they are developed. And then when the cells start going, being erroneous growth, or when the cell is identified as a cancer cell, the immune system will go there and will kill that cell. Also, we have genetic. This is the chapter, what they call epigenetics. Epigenetics is the study of the cells. Each cell has a system of genes that the researchers know now. And on these genes, they have the genes there that are suppressing, or they call cancer suppressor genes, that are always there to activate it. When the cell starts being changed, these genes will go there and call what they call apoptosis. That is the cell destruction, the cell suicide. So these are the genes that we want to have more and more and more. What happens is that in many cancer process, these genes are blocked because of the lifestyle of the person, because of the amount of mutagenics that they have. They don't have any more gene suppressors in their system. And then when the cell starts developing, the cell goes crazy because of lack of these gene suppressor in the cells.
Doc, I hear you saying that we should lead a healthy lifestyle. I hear you saying that we should build a proper immune system, and that would reduce our chances of developing certain kinds of diseases, etc. I hear you saying, however, that we should not close our eyes to medical science. That sounds to me like a pretty good balance, but there is a comment in the chat that I want to share, and I want to get your reaction to. It's an interesting comment. This person says, it seems like we are setting aside medical missionary work and the health message for science. And they went on to say there is no encouragement whatsoever from the Seventh Adventist Church to build our immune system naturally. Just take the vaccine. So I didn't hear you saying that, but as somebody who is listening seemed to be coming to a conclusion there. So can you share a little bit more on that, Doc?
Well, I believe the immune system and our lifestyle is something that that is important, that is basic for our lives. And what happened is that the immune system that we develop will not prevent us to get the virus. The virus will come to our system if we don't have the specific antibodies against that. So that's why the vaccine will activate a kind of immunity that is specific. We have two types of immunity. One immunity is a general immunity, that whatever it comes from outside, we can fight. But we have the specific immunity. So the general immunity is the lymphocytes T, the cytokines, is general. But the specific is the lymphocytes B, that is produce the antibodies according to specifics, specific types of microbes. And then in that case, we have a specific one against the virus that we call COVID-19. So as we know about that, it's better for us to have the specific immunity against this specific virus that is killing people. So I am not against that. Maybe other people are in favor of not vaccinating, but I am not. I believe we have to do whatever we can to help people to overcome that. And we know that a good lifestyle will prevent you from dying once you get the infection, but will not prevent you from get the infection, because there is no specifics here. You have a good immune system in general. So the virus will enter in your body, and the virus will cause a good reaction on yourself. And if you don't have the immunity, you might get a little more trouble if you have taken the vaccine. So I just have a relative in Brazil that was um, Adventist, and I don't know about his lifestyle, but I believe he was living a good lifestyle, and he died from the COVID. He was also from the time that we didn't have the vaccine, so it was not available in the country, and that's why he 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 died because of that. I would say this disease is very complicated. This disease has killed a lot of people, so I think we should do our best to prevent that for us and for our families. If there is a vaccine, we should not be against that. Vaccines don't have any side effects, as people mentioned. The most side effect that we have is a reaction of that. So if you are not an allergic person, or if you don't have a hyper-reactive immune system, you don't need to worry about the symptoms of that. I took both of vaccine. I took the Moderna vaccine. I have just sore arm for a while. And when I took the second dose, I have a little fever, and that's it. I mean, and I am 67 years old. I am a high risk. And so even though I am vegetarian, but I believe for the sake of your life and for the sake of the life of your family, I believe you should take the vaccines. Is complicated. I'll tell you, I have seen people that they were supposed not to get the disease, and they ended up dying just because they say, well, I'm not going to do that, or I am strong enough. And that's the thing. We think that we are Superman or Superwomen, and this stuff is not going to get us. And then they are gone.
Well, you know, Doc, I believe firmly in the Adventist health message. I believe in building a good immune system. I believe in exercise. I believe in the New Start principles. I believe that we ought to live healthy lifestyle. But I took the vaccine. I took the vaccine. I think it's wise. I think it's good wisdom. I don't see it as contradicting anything that Ellen White has said or any biblical principle. So I thank you for your comments there. Here is another interesting question that
let me just compliment here before.
Yes.
There is one point that we have to make in relationship to exercise. Over and over and over, there is some research on exercise that's saying that there is a limit in exercise. I just got a lecture with a group in Brazil that the guy got pre-COVID, he got a pneumonia and then almost died. He went to hospital, and then I asked him what he did. He was a marathon runner. And then I say, well, that's a problem. Marathon is not a good idea. And then because it will suppress your immune system. Unless you are very cautious after you finish the marathon, you have to do all of this social distance after you run a marathon, and sanitize your hands, use a mask, use a lot of precautions, and drink a lot of garlic, and use I have a friend who is into the research of how to improve the immune system after you run. But ideally, you should do exercise, natural exercise. And this was, in general, walking, and in general, gardening, or doing exercise in a balanced way that is 1 hour per day, or at most 2 hours per day, but not 6 hours per day. that is very strong. That's for athletes, but athletes have a low immune system. So just pay attention to exercise, natural exercise. Sorry about that.
That's interesting. Let me get you clearly. You're saying if I run a marathon, um, this is pre-COVID, and I run a marathon, I should expect my immune system to be depressed at that stage, and so I need to social distance and do those kinds of things. That's news to me. I never knew that before. So thank you so much for sharing that knowledge.
Yeah, that's important. And drink a lot of water and replenish all the vitamin C that is important during that time, because your immune system is suppressed. I ran 5 half marathons, and I didn't know about that. And after 5 half marathons, I have 5 big colds. I stay 1 week at home because of a cold after each one of those. And I was training. I was a director of a running club in Hong Kong. I was training 6 months before the marathons, half marathons. So I changed my view on that and say, okay, you better go slow, and you better be careful after you do some of those strenuous exercise.
Okay, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Thanks so much. You know, every day you learn something new. I really appreciate that bit of information. Another question that someone sent direct to me here is, how does constant exposure, now we were talking about cancer before we diverted to the COVID thing there. So this individual wants to know, how does constant exposure to cell phone signals and Wi-Fi signals contribute to the development of cancer cells? Does it really have any relationship?
Well, in fact, we don't know. What we know so far is that this kind of waves are not, they only increase a little bit the heat. They don't go to a point to produce a mutation. So scientifically, this kind of waves cannot produce a cancer cell scientifically in the lab. So why I say I don't know is because there are some research that are connecting brain cancer with use of cell phones, but this is kind of a little mixed, and maybe we need more years to know, because we haven't seen an increase of brain cancer incidence because of use of cell phones. So if this will cause increase in brain cancer incidence, we would have a epidemic of brain cancer, and it is not the case now. We haven't seen that. So what I say is that really I don't know about that. And then other types of waves, Wi-Fi waves and electromagnetic fields have been denied, or in all the research, they have not been confirmed as to produce cancer. Scientifically, they cannot change the cell. So I would say it's unlikely that it will cause cancer. But at this point, the research is not enough to answer that question.
What are your views on intermittent fasting for a healthy lifestyle? Is fasting a good thing? Does it help with my immune system, with cleansing my body, etc.?
Well, that's my main area here. Intermittent fasting is something that I'm starting to research now. Well, there is a lot of different types of fastings. So fasting, like once a week fasting, that you just stop eating for 1 day per week, is very good for your health. Is very good for diabetes, for your immune system, for everything. So that we are safe on that. And even if you don't want to stay the whole time without food, you can do that with just fruits and vegetables or juices. That's very good. Then we have this long-term fasting. Once people stay just drinking lemon juice and then they stay 1 week, 2 weeks. This will be very good for diabetes, for cholesterol, for obesity, excellent treatment for that. However, the immune system is going to be shut down. So if you go on that, by the way, this is not time to do diet for weight loss. All diets for weight loss that go low in calories will suppress the immune system and you increase your risk of COVID. So those two types of fasting. And then we have the third type of fasting that is what we promote in the church for years, that is going to be 2 meals a day. 2 meals a day is mostly the same thing as intermittent fasting. The only difference of intermittent fasting, maybe we have two differences. One is the time that is changed. We advise a person to eat 2 meals and then they will do 7 and 17, meaning that you eat in the morning and then you have an interval of 6 to 7 hours and you eat again in the afternoon, and then you pass almost 14, 16 or 17 hours without eating. Normally, this is what we propose. This is in agreement with our traditions of 2 meals a day, and 1 meal, very good breakfast, and then a second meal after in the afternoon. And then this is going to be very beneficial and is very good for weight management. The intermittent fasting, they do different. They sometimes ask you to eat the biggest meal until one time, and then at night, and then you stay the whole night without eating, and then you eat a little bit in the morning, and then you do the biggest meal at night. So the other difference is that we advise 2 meals a day. The intermittent fasting, they just put the times and say, okay, you eat whatever you want until that time. Then you don't eat until, but once you start eating, you can eat several times after that. So we don't believe on that. We believe in the 2 meals a day, and this is one of the best things you do for your body. In fact, what we are seeing is that for diabetes control, the best thing that a person can do for diabetes control, besides increasing fiber that I already mentioned, is to avoid the dinner. I mean, or eating a very small dinner, because dinner, if you eat at dinner and then whatever you do, I mean, even if you do exercise, you might not be able to use that energy that you input in your dinner. And then you go to sleep. And then during the sleep, all of this insulin and glucose and glucagon is going to affect your metabolism in a wrong way.
So typically, how on a normal, now you're advocating a regular lifestyle of 2 meals a day. How many hours before bedtime should my last meal be?
Well, it took me about 20 years to get there, but now I am there. So in the last year, I am almost 2 meals a day, with a few exceptions. Once in this year, a few exceptions, and so I am. My cholesterol was never better, and my lipids and my tests are all, and I lost more than 10 pounds without doing a diet. I just have the limits on the times, and the good thing is that it took me to lose this 10 pounds. It took me 1 year to lose that, and that's the point. If you lose 10 pounds in 1 week, you are gonna gain it back, and I am sure I'm not gonna gain back because it took me 1 year. So my body is used to the process of weight management, and that's the good thing you do. If you lose weight fast, you will gain it again. If you lose progressive, you will keep it. So what I do, I will just share with you. I eat in the morning a good breakfast. I mean, with oatmeal, some bread, and a lot of fruits and some nuts. And I use soy milk. And then I stay from this is around 7 o'clock in the morning, and then my next meal is 7 hours after that. I stay 7 hours just drinking water, and I am perfect. My body is used to that. And my second meal is 2 p.m. By the way, no, there is 1 hour still to go. And then, and I am not hungry. I did that here, and I am not hungry yet. And my body is used to that. And then 2 o'clock is my meal, and that's my last meal of the day. And I will tell you, I was snoring. I believe I was with sleep apnea before, and I was not sleeping well. And so in that case, I sleep maybe 9 or 10, and then it's about 9 to 10 hours after I ate my last meal. But this is myself. Some people, I have a problem with longer digestion. If I eat my last meal at 6, my digestion will not be ready for a good sleep until 12 o'clock. So it's going to be a mess. So eating at 2 allows my body to use all the energy. And then when I go to sleep, I am not hungry. And I got to a point that I don't mind if my family is eating, and my wife is following a similar pattern with me, almost the same. And then my kids came out, are you going to have dinner? I said, no, we don't, we feel fine. And so the body gets used to that. And I believe it's good for our health, and it's good for the prevention of diseases.
Doc, we have time for just about one more question. So I'm asking this question, and I have no idea what the question means. So I hope you do. It says, can you tell us a little about vitiligo and the immune system? It looks like vitiligo and the immune system. I have no clue what that is.
Well, we have to do two things. One is vitiligo, and another is vertigo. Vitiligo is a disease that people have, that I believe the skin gets a little bit of whitish for black people. And then vitiligo is an autoimmune system. I believe the system will start destroying the melanin that we have in the skin. If he's talking about vitiligo, we don't have anything that could help on that person. But all immune diseases will be improved if a person change their lifestyle. So I would advise to, if a person has vitiligo, to also use a little more of our lifestyle. Improve as much as you can with your diet. Use more fruits and vegetables. Avoid animal products. Drink water, and then have a good mental part. I mean, sometimes we go with exercise, with water, with air, and we forgot about the mental effect. It looks like vitiligo and some of those immune diseases are related to the mind too. So if it's talking about vertigo is like dizziness, is related to the labyrinth, and mostly related to the circulation of blood in our brains. So in that case, also lifestyle will improve. I would say in both of those cases, lifestyle is important, but you have to follow the advice of your medical doctor.
Well, Doc, thank you very much. I appreciate your sharing your time with us. It was a real pleasure having you with us on Let's Talk, and we hope sometime in the future to have you back. May God bless you and keep safe, and we will meet again sometime.
Thank you. Bye-bye. God bless you too.
Amen. For the rest of our viewers, we are signing off now, but we want to let you know that next week we're going to be wrapping up our discussion on health. We are going to be having Miss Selman back with us, and she is going to be dealing with the area of infants. What was it again? Let me see. I had a mental lapse there, but we're going to be talking about, yes, infant, child, overweight, the whole issue of our diet and how it affects our weight, and especially as it relates to children. So that promises to be very interesting. And then after that, we are going to talk about something else. We're going to be looking at the matter of rebaptisms. Do I really need to get rebaptized? And what are the conditions or circumstances that would require rebaptism? Well, that's all the time we have